It began with a modest teacup, the type presented to visitors during formal gatherings, a quiet emblem of courtesy. But this particular cup, this one nearly bore the weight of death. President Ibrahim TRAORE was attending a discreet meeting at a military outpost near Ouagadougou. It was a low-key assembly of high-ranking officers and advisors, convened to plan logistics for a forthcoming mission in the east. The mood was relaxed, routine. They sat in a ring beneath a mango tree, and a soldier in a simple uniform distributed cups of steaming, spiced tea. Traore accepted his cup with a familiar smile, nodding in gratitude, but he hesitated. He didn't drink. His gaze briefly settled on the server, a young, unfamiliar face, visibly anxious. He cradled the cup carefully, as if it were fragile. Across the circle, Colonel Yayakonate, a seasoned officer renowned for his keen intellect and steely demeanor, took a swift sip, almost too eagerly. Glancing at the president, he said, "Go ahead, sir, the tea's fresh." But Traore remained still, offering a faint smile before deliberately setting the cup on a small wooden table beside him. The atmosphere subtly tensed, imperceptible to most, but Captain Zongo, always observant from the rear, caught the signal. Traore had honed his instincts among predators. He could sense the scent of treachery. 2 hours prior, within the presidential palace, Traore had discovered an anonymous note slipped onto his desk during a meeting. It read simply, "Beware your tea today. They will challenge your trust." No signature, no hint of its origin, just a solitary warning. He didn't dismiss it. Instead, he proceeded as planned, traveling to the base, sitting among men he'd known for years, and waiting for someone to reveal their intent. Now, with the untouched cup resting between them, something felt deeply amiss. Traore locked eyes with Colonel Konate and remarked, "Isn't it curious how much can be concealed within something as small as a teacup?" Konate offered a strained smile. "That's the charm of tea, sir, or its peril," Traore responded. Then, standing slowly, he altered the meeting's tone entirely. President Ibrahim Traore rose, hands clasped behind his back, his gaze fixed on Colonel Konate. The other officers froze, the air growing heavy. Even the nearby birds seemed to hush, as if anticipating what would follow. Traore didn't shout or assert his authority. He posed a single, piercing question, soft but cutting. "Colonel, do you trust those who prepared this tea?" Konate blinked, his jaw tightening. "Of course, Mr. President." "Good," Traore replied. He gestured to an aide, pointing at the untouched cup. "Then drink mine." The aide reached for it, bewildered. Konate's eyes widened. "No, wait," he interjected hastily. "We shouldn't share cups, hygiene concerns." Traore raised a hand. "Hygiene, Colonel? Or poison?" Silence enveloped the circle. Only the rustle of wind through the trees remained audible. Konate stammered, "Mr. President, I assure you, no one here would." But Traore was already stepping away, pulling a small walkie-talkie from his pocket and issuing 2 words, "Bring him." Within moments, 2 soldiers appeared, escorting the young tea server, his hands bound, his face etched with fear, his lips trembling. One of Traore's bodyguards placed a small pouch on the table, revealing a tiny plastic vial found concealed in the server's sock. Its label, in minute script, read VXD42, a slow-acting neurotoxin, lethal within minutes, invisible, tasteless, odorless. And it had been intended for the cup of Burkina Faso's lion. Traore turned to the officers. "I've led men through true battles," he said evenly, "and mourned brothers lost in war. But this betrayal from within our own ranks is a wound deeper than any foe could inflict." His eyes returned to Konate. "You summoned me here, arranged the tea, urged me to drink first." Konate rose, his face ashen. "This is absurd." But Captain Zongo was already in motion, and within seconds, Konate was encircled. Traore stepped closer, face to face. "Did you think I wouldn't sense it, Colonel? You think I've survived this long by accepting every cup offered?" Konate fell silent. Traore leaned in. "Men like you don't seek power to serve. You seek it to trade." Then came the command. "Take him." No spectacle, no public arrest. "We're not staging a performance," Traore said. "We're delivering silence." As Conate was led away, the remaining officers sat in stunned disbelief. The poison had failed, but the message was unmistakable. The lion had been tested and hadn't flinched. Back at the palace, the traitor was confined to a stark underground cell, where the walls absorbed every sound but revealed nothing. Colonel Conate denied everything, insisting he knew nothing of the young server, the poison, or any plot, claiming he was framed. But President Ibrahim TRAORE sought no arguments. He valued evidence, precise and unyielding. Captain Zongo entered the interrogation room with a small black notebook, retrieved from the server's bag, the one who nearly delivered death in a teacup. Zongo opened it, presenting it to Conate. "Your handwriting," he said. "We verified it." The pages contained coded names, meeting dates, and cryptic payment records, including a significant transfer days before the attempted assassination. One name appeared repeatedly, Le Chacal, the Jackal. Behind a one-way mirror, Traore observed, turning to an aide. "Have we encountered this name before?" The aide nodded. "Yes, sir. It surfaced 3 months ago in an intercepted call tied to foreign intelligence." Traore's face hardened. So this extends beyond Conate. This is no solitary predator. There's a larger force behind that cup. That evening, Traore convened a clandestine emergency meeting with his most trusted allies, Zongo, 2 counterintelligence officers, and a civilian cyber specialist who'd previously decoded files during a coup attempt. They met in the underground war room. Zongo placed a notebook on the table. "This name, Le Chacal. He's the orchestrator, giving orders. The server was a pawn, Conate the conduit." Traore nodded. "Then we need the source." The cyber specialist worked swiftly, tracing phone records, digital footprints, and satellite signals. Most trails had been erased, but one message stood out, sent from a burner phone used only once. "For the cup tomorrow, he'll suspect nothing." It originated less than 2 kilometers from the French consulate in Ouagadougou. Zongo looked up. "He's still here." Traore crossed his arms. "If he's hiding in this city, we're not chasing a phantom, we're hunting a man." The pursuit had begun. The game had shifted. It was no longer just about apprehending a disloyal colonel. Now they were after the mastermind, Le Chacal, a shadowy figure who issued commands and vanished without a trace. But Ibrahim Traore wouldn't wait for another strike. He'd act first. The cyber specialist pinpointed the burner phone's last signal to a luxury apartment complex in Ouagadougou 2000, an affluent district favored by diplomats, foreign executives, and aid contractors. The building lacked hallway cameras, too convenient. "Whoever this jackal is," Zongo said, "he's shielded. He knows how to disappear." Traore leaned over the war room table. "Then we don't hunt him like soldiers. We flush him out like a bandit." He greenlit a covert operation, Glass Eye. No uniforms, no alarms, just shadows tracking shadows. They stationed operatives around the complex, disguised as janitors, fruit vendors, couriers. One soldier, posing as a maintenance worker, infiltrated the building, planting microcameras in corners and vents. On the 3rd day, they spotted him. A tall, pale man with a chiseled jaw, dark sunglasses, and a hat, polished and composed. He didn't match any embassy personnel, but had a key to apartment 3B, the source of the phone signal. He was cautious, never leaving at the same time, never using the same vehicle twice. But he slipped up. He ordered food. Traore smiled. "Good. We'll deliver it ourselves." That night, Zongo, disguised as a delivery man, carried a food bag in one hand and a tiny listening device in the other. When the door opened, the man stared at him, his gaze cold and piercing. He said nothing, paid in cash, took the food, and shut the door. But it was enough. The device captured his voice, his movements, his gait. Back in the war room, the voice was analyzed, yielding a match. Alexander Morel, a French intelligence operative, officially retired but known in covert circles as Le Ch. Structuring an assassination attempt required careful planning, but capturing him posed challenges. He lacked diplomatic immunity, yet a public arrest could spark accusations of abduction from foreign powers. A raid on the apartment risked his escape. His exit routes were likely secured. Traore pondered, then declared, Let's offer him what he desires. Zongo raised an eyebrow. Sir, we announce I'm hosting an exclusive dinner. Select guests only. He'll try again. Zongo nodded. And when he does, Traore's eyes narrowed. We finish it. The trap was laid. President Ibrahim Traore publicized a private, high-level dinner at the presidential villa. A select few guests, no press, no public roster. The news was leaked discreetly through back channels, just loud enough for a certain someone to hear. Zongo's team monitored apartment 3B. They didn't see Morel leave, but his phone reactivated, a new burner, sending a message across the city. Another assassination attempt was imminent, but this time, Traore wasn't the target. He was the lure. In the palace kitchen, the catering staff was replaced by counterintelligence agents dressed as chefs. Every utensil, plate, and cup was inspected and tagged. Hidden microphones were embedded under the dining table, in flower arrangements, even within salt shakers. No action would go unnoticed. At 7:30 p.m., the dinner commenced. For guests, all loyal and briefed, sat at the table. Traore, at the head, wore a simple traditional robe, avoiding the appearance of a target. Zongo, in the surveillance room, monitored every angle. No activity from apartment 3B. He whispered into the mic. No breach detected. Then, a waiter appeared with a tray of drinks, an unfamiliar face. Not one of their operatives. Zongo tensed. Who is that? He's not ours. The cameras zoomed in. The man moved with precision, his face calm, but his right hand betrayed a slight tremor. He placed the tray down and stepped back. Traore lifted his glass, but didn't drink. He met the man's eyes and said, Care to join your president for a drink? The man faltered. Traore rose slowly. You've been elusive, Alexander, but you erred. The room erupted. Chairs scraped. Guards stormed in. The man reached for a small object in his sleeve, something sharp, but Zongo was already there, pinning him to the floor in seconds. No weapon. Traore said, approaching. Just poison again? You thought the same ploy would succeed twice. Morel, le Chacal, glared up, his face taut with fury. You've made enemies you can't defeat. He spat. Traore knelt beside him. I'm not defeating them, I'm outlasting them. He stood and issued the order. No press, no spectacle. Fly him to our deepest cell tonight. This isn't a display, it's a signal. Across Ouagadougou, nothing seemed amiss, but a seismic event had transpired. A second attempt on the president's life had been thwarted, the orchestrator silenced. Yet Traore knew this wasn't merely about poison or politics, it was a warning. Someone somewhere was willing to kill for control. But they'd learned. Traore never drank from an untested cup. The aftermath was quieter than the storm itself. No statements were issued, no images leaked. The man known as Le Chacal, the phantom behind the poison, vanished into a void so deep the world would never trace him. But President Ibrahim Traore knew the threat lingered. The next morning, alone in his office, he held the same ceramic cup from the first attempt, cleaned, empty, yet heavy with significance. He thought of the young soldier who carried the poison unwittingly, of Colonel Conate, once honorable, now awaiting justice in shackles, and of the millions who trusted him, unaware of how often he skirted death. A knock interrupted his thoughts. Captain Zongo entered. Sir, the military academy awaits your address. Traore nodded. That afternoon, Traore stepped into the courtyard of Burkina Faso's National Military Academy, where hundreds of young cadets stood in formation. Whispers of a grave incident had reached them, but the full truth remained veiled. Traore took the stage, microphone in hand, no notes required. Some of you may not yet grasp the burden of the uniform you wear, he began. You believe it grants power, but it bestows duty. He held up the cup. This cup nearly claimed my life, not due to the tea it held, but because of the trust one misplaced. He paused, the cadets riveted, some wide-eyed, others gripping their fists. One day, you'll safeguard this nation. But protection isn't just about weapons, it's about integrity, about knowing when to speak and when to refuse, even when wealth or foreign influence tempts you. He scanned the young faces. I didn't survive because I'm cunning. I survived because I never forgot one truth. A nation's strength lies in the loyalty of its humblest sentinel. He turned to Zongo, raising the cup toward him. This is no longer a mark of death. It's a testament to survival. He placed it on a stone pedestal beside the Academy flag. Let it remind you, he said, that even the smallest object can hold betrayal or valor. Choose what you carry. The cadet saluted, some brushing away tears. That evening, Traore sat alone on the palace rooftop, watching the sunset spill across the horizon. He knew this wouldn't be the last threat. More jackals, more poison would come. But each time, they'd find the lion ready, not because he sought conflict, but because he'd rather die upright than live subdued. And so, the cup endured, not in a museum or his home, but in the hands of the next generation, a beacon of vigilance, resilience, and one man's unyielding resolve.